Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to Sayless podcast. Before I get into anything, Togo, cue that track. Let's go. Oh, that's it.
Track.
Hey. Ladies and gentlemen, Talo Falava, Malolele, Bulavinaka, and Aloha, Joe Sosefa is my toko atu, and welcome back to the Sayless podcast. It's great to have you guys here. Thank you again for all your support. To everyone that has viewed the past episodes, mahalo for your love. But we got a special guest with you guys today, man. It's an honor to have the Usoi on board with us, Mr. Owing himself. Ladies and gentlemen, Kirby Tavita.
Kirby Tavita.
Nah, bro, I'm already sick of you. I'm already sick of you.
Sorry, guys.
Thank you for coming, guys. Thank you for coming.
Sorry, guys.
Oh, Brock Lesnar.
Brock Lesnar.
Nah, welcome, Uzota. An honor to have you here.
Welcome,
Thank you for
bro.
giving up your time. Well, you have a lot of time in your hands anyway right now. How's it been, Uzo?
Nah, thanks for having me. First of all, it's been sick. He's just been doing a rock and lockdown, you know.
Yeah.
Been doing my time, you know.
Yeah. Any what bikes in the room?
I saw that on DJ Forbes' story. I was like, hey, do we get a bike in there? Like, no, sorry.
Oh, what bike?
Nah.
Yeah.
Hit me with the puns already.
So you said you were in Ozos.
Mm.
You're in Australia for a bit, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
What were you up to there?
So I was like I was telling you guys before, I was just over there for a week. I was just doing like a business trip. I was just going to tattoo the boys over there.
Yeah.
And then I flew there on the Wednesday.
Yeah.
We flew there on the Wednesday, and then on the Thursday they announced they're going into lockdown on Saturday. But to be honest, I thought we were going to be able to get home. Like I thought, like, oh no, that doesn't what do you call it? Like it doesn't. That's not for us. It's you know, just for like Aussie.
Yeah.
So and then not that we were trying to get back and just decline.
You're looking at your passport. I'm pretty sure this is my country. Yeah.
I was like, I thought I was a New Zealand citizen.
Yeah. So you're there for a bit. And did you end up doing any other clients there, like tattooing and stuff, while you were at it?
Yeah. No, so I was there for 6 months. As soon as like whoever messaged me, it was just like, yeah, sweet, when are you free? And then it was like they were just like, oh yeah, I'll come out. But so, you know, Aussie's massive. Like, I'll come out. Like, where do you stay? And I was like, oh, I'm staying near the airport. And they were like, oh yeah, you're like an hour away. I was like, oh Lord.
Man.
Yeah, I ended up getting some work. Ended up doing a little bit of work, and then I ended up working at one of the boys' shops. Yeah. Mose, Ink Arcade or Fourth Gallery now over there.
Oh,
so yeah,
nice.
that was real good. Getting some work done over there.
Did you link up with Christmas? Any like videos coming out? Like, you know?
Nah. Until I couldn't get up to Brisbane.
Oh,
so I was stuck in Sydney. Bro, even like,
is that Brisbane?
We were over there.
Brisbane?
Brisbaners. Silly. When we were over there, we found out like quickly how like different Sydney is to Australia. Like,
true.
Like silly. Sydney's like it's almost like everyone hates it. I don't know, but that's just what I was getting told.
The vibes, like,
everything was like shutting down on Sydney. Like,
wow.
So, yeah, Brisbane was like the first. They were the first like state to like close off Sydney to like the borders and stuff. So we couldn't even get in, man.
Yeah. Well, shout out to everyone in Australia. Thank you for setting a good example. Setting a good example to New Zealand's going to lockdown. I'm just happy my Uzos back home safely. Wow.
Yeah, bro. We just want to move in and get to know you a bit more, bro, and how your upbringing was like, bro. Obviously, growing up with your brothers and family, school, and how all of those came into the picture, and getting your passion, bro. Like, you know, your what you're doing now. Like, how did you figure that out while growing up? What was that like, bro? What was that like?
Yeah, so pretty much born and raised out west. Grew up in Henderson. There's 6 of us, 6 kids. Five brothers, one girl. All grew up in like just like your normal, like your state house, you know, like the 3-bedroom, you know,
Yo.
8 people in the house with 3 bedrooms. But nah, yeah, and then like ever since I could remember, I was always an artist. Like,
Yeah.
I could pretty much draw as soon as I like picked up a pencil or a pen. Like, so I always had that skill, like pretty much like my God-given talent. Like, it was just just naturally, like whatever I saw, I could draw.
Yeah.
But so like growing up, I never took it serious because it was like so easy.
Yeah. True.
So like I was like straight up when I was growing up, I was more focused on like rugby. Like I wanted to be like, you know, I mean every kid in Auckland knows you want to be like All Blacks, you know.
Yeah.
So I was more focused on like on sports, on rugby, pretty much rugby. But like art was just like it was just like a natural thing for me. But I always remember like when it like as I was growing up, like my dad always used to say, like, hey, like take art or like do art, like, you know, you never know, it might be your job.
Yeah.
But I was just like, nah, I want to be an All Black. Like that.
Yeah.
That was always like the main goal. And then just growing up, it was all just focused towards like rugby, and especially like having older brothers, you know, do the whole rugby stint like before me. I always like looked at it like, man, I like that's what I want to do, and like especially like growing up in like a rugby household. Like, man, my dad was like rugby to the core, you know. Like if he wasn't watching the news, it was always on like sports or rugby, like even like just highlights, you know, or repeats. So like seeing my dad like be proud of like my older brothers, like making the teams, or, you know, like even just getting like player of the day, you know, it really like pushed me to like be like, man, that's what I want to do as well, you know. You know, it was almost like you know, when you're younger, it feels like, man, whoever gets like whoever plays the best is like who my dad loves the most, you know. So like that's what it feels like. Like,
Did you make that top 3 or what?
Yeah, I was top 1, just getting high. But yeah, like seeing that was kind of where it like drove my love for rugby. You know, it was having that, having those examples and like in my life. And so art wasn't really like I to be honest, I couldn't say it was my passion back then. It was just what like it was what I always had, but like never like dabbled into, I guess.
Was like growing up and doing a bit of art, like, and then like leaving school and whatnot, like, did you ever think that it was going to be in like the tattoo kind of industry, or was it like you were going to paint, like just paint art and whatnot and put it in the museum and whatnot? Like, what got about that? Like, what got you into the tattoo kind of industry?
Yeah, so like I never did art. Like I like Sefa, you know.
Yeah.
I got
Nah, this
kicked
guy was
out
the
of- I
barber,
remember-
bro. Like he was more of like the boys' barber.
Untitled
This
Chapter.
guy get
Well,
kicked out of art, bro.
I was doing everything. I was doing everything other than art.
Yeah.
Remember freaking Miss Neville? She hated me.
Hey, you're her favorite, bro.
So like, I remember I was like talking to Toto one day and then get out. Chill. It's like,
Yo.
nah, yeah. So now back to what I was saying. I didn't do art in school, like nothing, eh? So I never even thought art was like gonna be my future. Like, honestly, I thought like if I was to ever do something, I thought it would be like the whole clothing thing, you know, like because that was my real like passion, like.
Yeah.
So I kind of like didn't think of art as anything, and then I kind of just like fell into it.
Yeah,
Do you remember in 2000, what would have been 2000 and I think 9 or 10?
Yeah.
Nah, 10
Yeah.
was when I designed
The
designed our
Samoan group.
Samoan group.
Yeah.
Our Samoan group.
This
tees.
the red shirt.
Yeah, the red shirt.
Yeah,
with
the red shirt. Yeah.
with the ulo.
Yeah.
So I designed that, and one of the boys who was like our tag coach, he saw that, and then he was like, "Actually, would you ever get into like tattooing? Because remember like Sonny Bill's tattoo was like big back then, you know. So like patterns was like you associated that with like tattoos, you know.
Yeah.
And then he just pretty much said like, "Would you ever get into tattoos?" And I was like, "Nah." Like, sorry, like I thought he was like asking like. Just like you know when people just like talk to you and you think this guy's just talking like you know. I thought he was just asking like that, so I was just like nah, and then he was like, "Nah, so like, bro, if you ever like think about getting into it, I've got a tattoo machine at home."
True.
You know, I was like, "Hey, true," and he's like, "Yeah, no, so you can come pick it up if you want. Like, there's a whole setup."
Oh,
and then so brotherhood like the next day, like I was just chilling. I was just minding my business. And then the man messaged me and then he was like, "Sully, you want to pick up that machine?" And I was like, "Hey, oh yeah." Sully, I just said like for fun, like I was just like, yeah. And so we were still in school then, like
dang.
Yeah, this was 2011.
We were 2011, yeah.
Yeah, this was
that was our last year. That was our last year.
In the 2011. So I just went and picked up the machine, and then so when I got it, it was like I just got it to like do it for fun, you know, like it was kind of like, to be honest, I didn't know nothing about tattooing back then. Like I didn't know if it was like a mean job. I didn't know like what was a good tattoo. Like the only person I saw like have a mean tattoo was pretty much Sonny Bill, you know, like and Steve Marching. Like he was he was like the tattooist name back then.
He's like the standard.
Pretty much. And then I just saw it as like like patterns, you know. So when I got the machine, man, this was 2011, and this was when Todd Carney was massive. That was when he was massive, and honestly, when I saw like his tattoos, that's when it made me like think like, man, I want to do something different, you know, like I don't want to do patterns, you know, like. But this is like, remember, this is all me doing it like for fun, like not having a future like in play. It was just like, I just want to do like what Todd Carney's got, like I want to do like a koi fish, or like the Japanese sleeves or roses, like stuff like that. So I got the machine, and I pretty much just like try to guess where like everything goes. Like wasn't even the proper setup. I was just like, man, I'm sure this goes here. And because I forgot to say, but like back in the day, my older brother went and got tattooed from one of the boys. And I remember like sitting in there like watching him like do it. And I was just trying to like memorize like how did the tattoo machine look.
Yeah.
So I was like, so I was pretty much just going off memory.
Yeah.
Just like, tell it, I think this goes here. I think this goes here.
Yeah.
And then pretty much just blasted myself. Like, so I grabbed the machine. But it was funny. Like, if you think about like how tattooing is now, like way different to back then. But like now is like every machine's like real quiet. Like, you know, like needles are like, you don't have to like set up needles and that. But like back then, man, it was like, so like the tattoo machines like were like
lawnmower.
And I thought the tattoos, like the louder the sound, it was like the better. So I was like, it was like on the highest thing, like I was like, yeah, no, that sounds sick, dude. That sounds sick. I just blasted myself. And that was pretty solid. That was pretty much like how I like fell into tattooing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome, bro, and thanks for sharing that. But I think we'll touch more on your tattooing later on, but we don't want to go past your limelight on the rugby field, bro. And you know, Sepha's kind of told us a few stories back in the days. But what was that like, bro? Like having that kind of dream of becoming an All Black, going to Kelston boys. A lot of the boys that's been on here have touched on that, like how different and unique the school is. But yeah, what's your perspective of your upbringing and coming through the I guess the years at Kelston, bro?
Like when everyone, when you think of Kelston, it's like the epitome of like the rugby school, you know, especially like being the only one out west, you know, that everyone wants to go to. It's like so you know, we had boys like Taylor coming all the way from Massey to come, you know. So you know, when I think about Kelston, like it was almost like a dream, like, you know, to go there. Like it was like, man, I want like what I was saying before, like when my older brothers going there, like that's what really like sparked my like drive to be like a name at Kelston, you know. But like when I think back to like our junior grades, man, Sepha, you can friggin' vouch for me on this one. I used to have like I can't even remember much, but like I used to just like I used to be like a good leader, but then at the same time it was like, man, I had like anger problems.
We were in under 15s. No, this guy was in under 15s, under 14s. Bro, this one coach, his name was Waingalu. Remember Kelston intermediate training, bro. And this guy walked off like he just got angry, bro. And Waingalu, hey, come here. Like, nah. I'm like, solely. That guy's the man, bro.
No, so you know what's even worse about like all of those? I was like captain for those teams. hey, Sepha. Solely, like, man, like even going back to like solely, my first year of Kelston, under 14s, and like our under 14s team was it was best. It was best. Like,
it was best. Yeah, that one was good. That team.
But it was like so like I captained our under 14s team, and I captained the whole way until the final. You know, like so I got suspended like for the final, like for like fighting. You know, like. So it was like stupid stuff like that, you know, like.
My favorite team that I played with this guy was in the second 15, bro. Honestly,
that was best.
That was a good team. Bro, there's one story. Hey, shout out to Siosi Vaili. But we were in the changing room, and I don't know if it was the semi or one of the round robin games, and we're all standing in the changing rooms, bro. But all the boys are serious because we're about to run out. And he looks like Kirby, and as soon by he looks like Kirby, goes, okay, hey Kobe. The first thing, Kobe. All the boys, you could tell all the boys just looked down like, oh, Kobe. Hey, Kobe, make sure you kick down the corner of the hell. What's worse, bro? You know when you run out of the changing rooms and all the boys are like, oh, yo, we on. Bro, that team better be careful. Boys are running out, hey, Kobe. The corner of hell. All right, now every time you hear the word Kobe.
But you know that didn't come from the corner of hell. That was like every night.
Every night,
our training, after training, it was like, boys, let's go to our corner.
Yeah, bro. Facts.
And it was like, oh man.
Oh, here we go again. we gotta park down there. We gotta play down here.
Nah, you know one I remember vividly. You remember when we were all like, we like finished training, and then he was like, okay, who's wearing modes? And we were all like, huh? Oh, and then he was like, lift up your boots if you're wearing modes. And we were all like, oh, hey. And then he was like, and then he was counting it, and then he was like, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then he was like, let's go to the corner, boys. And I'm sure there was like 10 of us, because we used to wear our modes like for training, you know. You wear your sprigs like on the game day. So, and then there was like 10 of us, and the man was like, 10 Henny Mullers. You guys should always be prepared.
And I think just to add on to that, to our viewers that are watching, like Kirby and Sefa are explaining corner, or the corner of hell. And like for those that have been under Sossi Waili or under the 1st of Dean, the corner of hell is Henny Mullers, and it's like a run that it's all good running it, but it's doing it under time, and it's like lies as, bro, because like he'll say that we have to run under like 20
bro, it's all lies, bro. He goes like 30 seconds. You get to the post and he's already like 28.
Everyone has to push it. Everyone has to push.
What about when he goes? What about when you finish and then he goes, why was Longo at the back? So,
shout out to Longo, bro. Shout out to Longo, bro.
Every man for himself. He like nossing the Henny Mullers like, and then one more because Longo should be at the front. We're like,
Longo's like he's dying.
If there was a moment where like the boys will turn on you, it's that moment.
That's where you find your friends.
Turns around and be like, run, bro.
That's when you all of a sudden see how someone really is, like how fast they really are. Like,
yo,
fast is no.
Bro, it's the funny one when you're like,
oh man,
you're at the back. Come to the front and go 10 meters forward. It's like 10 meters start.
When everyone's walking to the corner before and going, so everyone just jog and let Longo go at the front.
Bro.
That's
man, like
bonding right there.
That's team bonding. But yeah,
Mullers, bro.
Even stuff like that, that's like, I didn't think you can find that in any other school. Like that sort of relationship and that sort of brotherhood, because we see it now as well. Like even, especially when old boys walk across the school, and you see the juniors say, "Hey, you're one of the old boys." Like it's still got that brotherhood. There's still a connection there within the current students with the old boys. So yeah, good times, man.
No, good times.
Which also want to touch on that stint, bro, in the national final. How was that, bro?
So honestly, like if I could like remember one like rugby memory, it was that. Like everything that happened like before it and like after it is all like a blur to me. Like that, like making that even making that first 15 team, man. That was
a beast
like,
team, bro.
That was that.
Like going back on your last question, Atu, it was like, so it was tough for me to like make first 15. And I think because like, you know, because of my like track record before that, you know, being like the Angus kid, or, you know, having like attitude, like problems, like all of that like factored into like my first 15, you know, like so put it like this, my older brother made it at 5th form, like and then so like, I didn't make first 15 till 7th form, you know, like and I like I had like a pretty, what do you call it, like a rough like relationship with all the coaches, you know, like just because it was like, man, I was like outspoken, like you know, like what Sifa was saying, you know, like coaches would try and talk to me, and it was just like, hey, fuck up, like so I'll say stuff like that, like willy-nilly, like I didn't even like think about like the consequences. I just used to like just be like, nah, fuck up, like, you know, you can't tell me what to do, like blah blah blah, like so like all of that like really like factored into like me making first 15. So man, when I finally made first 15, man, honestly, like I almost like gave up, like trying to chase that first 15 dream, you know. It was like I remember like I'll get to the point like of the national final, but before on my 6th form year, man, I like at the end of the year, you know, after our second 15 stint, man, I was like, man, that was the best rugby like I've ever played, like best rugby I've ever played, best team I've ever had, like, and I was like, man, like I don't think I'll make like first 15, and more so it was like because in that year I was playing league as well, because second 15 was like in the morning, you know, and then like so like league was in the evening, and so I was playing league, and I remember like at the end of my 6th form year, I was like, man, I think I'm just gonna go play league, like, and then Tole, what do you know, Vaili was like the first one to like come to me, and he was like, hey, I heard you're going to league, and then I was like, yeah, this was our fast forward, this was our 7th form year, and he was like, hey, I heard you're going to league, and then I was like, oh yeah, sir. And this was me and Mika, like my boy Mitch, like, you know, this was me and him, like, so like we said we're gonna go play league, and then Vaili pulled us out of PE, and he was like, why are you guys going to league, like, and then we were like, oh, just like, well, we'd rather go do that, and then he was like, nah, come to the first 15 trainings in the morning, I'll see you guys there.
That was even hard.
So we were like, as soon as we finished that combo, we looked at each other, we're like, are you gonna go to the morning training? and then I was like, oh, I'm not keen, like, what do you reckon? And then I was like, oh, we'll just go, like, you know, we'll just go. Who cares, like, cares about that team, like those on. So like all of those like all of those dramas like played like a massive factor when like we got to that like national final, you know, like and that was like, to me, that's why like that national final to me like meant so much, you know, because that team was like, and I remember we were like, you know, on the NZ like first 15 rugby, we weren't even mentioned to be like top 8, like
bro,
our team was like we only had what, like four guys that played the year before, and everyone from the team before left, like, you know, and even like, man, I remember even like so it was like humbling, like thinking about it, you know, like our first 15 training, like majority of it was like second 15 and third 15, you know. And like, 100. Man, I remember I used to like think about the third 15, and there's kind of like a, you know, a pride thing, like, you know, when you're at Kelston, because Kelston's like, you know, reputation's like a massive thing. I remember I used to look at the third 15 team when we were like seconds and be like,
the Cougars.
The Cougars. We were like, so like these guys are like trash. These guys just play for fun, like don't even care, like just pretty much like happy. So like when it came to like first 15, man, I remember like looking around at the team, and I was just like, man, like this ain't the team made. Like my honest opinions was like, man, this ain't the team made. Like, I don't even think we're gonna like win nothing, you know? And it was like, you know, like everyone pretty much writing us off like straight away. It was like, man, like the way we played in 2011 was like, so we had nothing to lose, you know?
Yeah.
Like that was pretty much it. Like we had players like, I remember we had players like Danny, like what's his Danny Pahulu.
Danny Pahulu.
Solid. We had players like that scoring every game, you know?
Yeah.
Like so honestly, I remember I used to think this nigga scoring me. Like but it was like so it was like that, like it was that much like of freedom that we had, and like pretty much like that brotherhood that we had to like be like, man, so we got nothing to lose. Let's just go out there and play, you know, like, and even like, so fast forwarding to like the national final, man, that's why like that meant so much, because it was like, man, we came from like pretty much nothing. Like everyone wrote us off to like, how are we here? You know, like even making top 4, you know, like making top 4, man, we like celebrated like that was the final, you know, when we finally got into top 4, man, I remember like Langi was like, he was all black level back in high school, you know, like
bro, he was crazy, man.
Even for our second 15 Asifa, like
bro.
You remember Langi's freaking boot, his freaking fend.
He was
like
he was
solid, impeccable. We
100.
But that's why like that's why that national final meant so much, because it was like, man, I can't believe we finally did this, you know, and especially because the year before us, like Peter Aki and all that year, like man, they were the team, you know? Like
they were the team,
solid. I remember even my dad said, like, man, if any team was to make the final, it was last year. Like, I was like,
oh, thanks.
Bro.
Even saying that, like the teams that you guys played, it wasn't a stroll in the park. Like you had St. Ken's that was captained by Albert Vitti, that was in the Warriors, and Wesley, that wasn't a team to be like, you know, in their finals, that national. It wasn't like you guys are just rocking up and like, oh, yo, we're gonna secure this win. Like you guys literally had to work every single game. And I remember St. Ken's are a bit like, they're a bit jealous because the win that we had against Wesley was more prestigious than the one they had.
Yeah. Oh man, you know, it's funny. I even tatted Sita Samani Valu.
Yeah.
And I remember when he was like, he was like saying like, he was like, yeah, man, I didn't know like that you had to do like the whole co-ed and you know, the boys' school at the beginning of the year. So I thought we were going nationals, and he said like, when he got to nationals and they were going to co-ed and we were going to the boys' final, and everyone was saying, oh, the boys' final was like the main one, you know. And he was going, so Leseta was going, hey, but we beat them. Like, so I was like, hey, that ain't me, you know?
I didn't make the rules, Mike. Nah, that's me, bro.
That was an awesome year from what I remember, and you guys had an awesome culture there in the squad. Bro. Thanks for that, mate.
Yeah, that's awesome. After high school, bro, like did you still play rugby after high school, or was that when you started getting into, you know, like tattooing and, you know, with your business?
Yeah, so I was still playing rugby. I was up at I went up to the harbour comp, and I was trying to do the whole harbour stint. I was playing for Massey Rugby Club, and all while I was playing rugby, like tattooing was always like a in the back thing, you know, like it was like I was always tattooing like the boys here and there, like still while trying to do like, you know, the whole rugby thing. It was like I was still training, I was still going to like our games, But at the same time, I was still doing tattooing, but I was like pretty much like working rugby, and then like tattooing would be like the last thing, you know. So yeah, I was still trying to. It wasn't really like I didn't do like tattooing to be like to do it. It was kind of just like a fun thing, you know. Like whenever the boys asked, like, it was like,
so it wasn't really a passion at that time.
No. It was just like so like whenever someone asked, So like, you free tonight? Like, can you do us like a quick tat? And then I was just like, oh yeah, no, sick easily. Come over. It was like that. Like,
man, so what age did it actually kick in? Like, it started being more. You started taking it more seriously.
Probably in 2013. Yeah, 2013. And that was like the year that like that was the year that I didn't make our Harbour 21s team, or 20s, our Harbour 20s team. And man, I remember like that year was like, see, like, because 2012, like coming off like 2011, man, I was like fit as, like, you know, like, and then we went to like Malaysia for sevens and came back, and I was like fit as, and then like I thought I was like fit enough to like just last a year, you know, like, and then man, like when we got to the end of when we got to like the rep season, like our Harbour 20s, that was when like I started like slowly like putting like fitness on the back burner. Like I was like, oh yeah, no, I'm fit enough, like blah blah blah. And then we got to our Harbour like trials. Man, I got injured. Like I got injured in our trial, and this was like our first game. So they do like the whole 3-game thing, you know, like three trials, and they pick like 3 different teams. And the first game I played, and I was like injured. Like I had like my calf was like real tight, and I couldn't really take off. So like when I got injured, and then like I still try to play, and I like it was kind of like a stink feeling, but then like when like in hindsight, when I look back at it, it was like a real crucial like moment in my life, you know. It was that was pretty much when like I started looking at tattooing, like, man, maybe I need to like maybe I need to, you know, have tattooing as like the plan B now, like, you know, but before that it was just like, nah, tattooing just for fun, like that's just muck around with the boys, you know. But when I didn't make that Harbour 20s team, that's when it like kind of hit me to think about something else, you know, like it was like, well, like if like, to be honest, it started looking like I started looking at it like, damn, I don't think rugby's there anymore, you know, like I'm not seeing that. I'm not seeing like, you know how when you're like making all the teams, like or that like that All Blacks jersey, or even that like Mitre 10 jersey or Super jersey, like feels so close, you know. And then you slowly start falling off, and you're like, man, that seems way out of reach, you know, like and that's how I kind of like looked at it. Like I was like, man, it doesn't look like I'm like heading that way, you know. It doesn't look like I'm gonna make a team like next year, because it goes 20s and in Mitre 10 pretty much, you know, like
pretty much it,
and after Mitre 10 you're like B's, but well, the B's is like, you know, what Mitre 10 like calls up, or NPC now, you know. So it was like 20s and then NPC. So I was like, man, if I can't make that 20s team, man, I'm pretty much like out of it now, like so then that's when tattooing really came into play as like I could probably do this thing like properly, you know, like
man, that's awesome. Because like nowadays they start recruiting from junior rugby, like club. And like if you're looking at trying to get into professional at like your early 20s or mid 20s, that's almost late nowadays. Like to try and get into You know what I mean? But in saying that, bro, I'm so grateful that you picked up the tool, bro. Like, because we see what we see what you're doing now. You know, opening your business, not only just in tattooing, but even in your clothing line, man. Like, we're so grateful that you. I think what you did, and this is why I hold you into like such a big place within Kelson, within the community, because what you did is you kind of opened up other avenues for future students to go into. That Kelson wasn't just about rugby. Like, it wasn't just about turning up and, you know, we weren't just a rugby school. What the path that you had showed for future students and even current students at the time, like our year, like, man, if Kirby can swing, he excelled in first 15, but if he can swing into this business area, then we can do it too. And, you know, we're so grateful that you went into that avenue of tattooing and that business. So yeah, big ups you.
We appreciate that. Thanks.
So happy for, yeah. But next one, you know, as a kid in high school, what's something that you wished you learned in high school or as a kid that you reckon would have helped you to where you are now, like as a businessman?
Probably your finances,
Yeah.
Like I think everyone knows that, like you don't learn none of that in school, you know, like you don't when you think about it, you think like, man, it's cool owning a business, like but man, there's so many things that you don't know, like that when you get into business, like teaches you quick, you know, like and yeah, probably the main thing is like finances, you know, like what there's like a that's like a loaded question, you know. There's heaps to come from that, like but probably like your main thing is probably like understanding like your understanding your money and understanding like your accounts and stuff, because that's like that's one thing that you really like don't take into mind is like how many people, pretty much like, put it this way, how many people you're going to have to pay when you have a business, you know. Like you think about business and you think, yeah, that's me, like that's going to be all my money, that's going to be my like business, but then you don't take into fact like that the accountant comes in, that your lawyers come in, that your like landlords come in, that you know, like subscriptions, or you know, all those kind of things that you're like, man, I thought I was going to be getting more money than this, like So yeah, that's one thing that I wish I learned about, was like your finances, but also how many things come into play when you do own a business, you know, like they should teach, like, you know, a business comes with 20 people that you're going to have to pay, you know, like that, like,
because even that, like, and you're totally right, like things like finances, they don't really teach that in high school. Like when we come out of high school, when we get our first pay, we look at the, you know, they say, oh, you get 400, and then you see the tax. It's like, what the heck is a tax? Who's taking money out of? And then you're like, oh, I didn't learn about this stuff. And then you get to your parents, and your parents are like, Yangale. Yangale.
And your parents are looking at your pay slip. They're like, oh my God.
Yeah, but like you're totally right, man. Like, because we asked one of the boys as well, like the same question, and his one was more like the discipline as well, you know, being disciplined into that, and because the discipline goes far, not only on the field, off the field, but even in the business area. But like, was it, because I know there's a thing, you know, when the boys go, nah, hook us up. like was that did you have to be like, nah, no hookups, boys, let's just pay the whole price for it. No 5-figure discounts here, man.
you kind of have to like, so you're gonna have to be like a dickhead, like, you know, when you have your own business, or when you're trying to start something, because it's like, man, you at the start it was like cool,
Yeah.
It was all good, but man, when the bills like came in, that's when it was like, totally like, I can't afford to like as much as I want to like give it to you for free, so like please, like like I need to pay my bills, and you can't, so you kind of gotta look at it like like you kind of gotta look at it like how Palangis do it, like and this goes all the way back to when you're young, like try and ask Taylor can't try and ask that nigga for his lunch back in high school. He would have been like, nah. And so it's like, nah. And it's
a no. It's a no.
So like, he's like, nah. And us, it's like, oh, nah, man. And then you wait for like the joke, and then it's like, nah,
yeah. Man,
it's like, nah.
That's right.
And then, but like you gotta like, you gotta think of it like that, like Palangis do it the best, they learn from a young age. So then when they get to, when they get older and they get into those kind of environments like business and that's where all those no's like all those no's are better than you like giving things out for free, like
That's a great point. And if you do have friends, our viewers, if you do have friends that are starting a business, man, don't be that guy and ask for like hookups. Go support, buy the product, bro. Support your friends, because you're the people that will push their business. You're the people that will push that. So go out there and support your mates. Hey, yo, what's up, everyone? Tyler for Lover. One of the things we love to do on this podcast is to promote our local businesses. And our local business for today is called Donut Mess, making life a little sweeter and catering to all our donut needs for any event. They are located in Henderson, West Auckland. So you can look them up on Instagram at Donut Mess Official. All right, so check them out. Let's go, mates. Who was the first big name that you tattooed? Like, you're the first, or like you were kind of nervous? It's like, damn.
Your first one, bro.
Or even your first tattoo. Who was the first person you tattooed?
My first ever tattoo is probably freaking the biggest guy right now. Like that was my brother Chris. Like,
hey, yeah.
So you could probably chuck his name up there. Like,
heck yes.
He was the first person to like be like, Tilly, now let's do my tat. Like, they're like. After I told you I did my own tat, when I first got the machine, like he was so like, as soon as he saw that, he was like, so let's do mine now. Like, and he's like, so he was my first one, but man, my first big name. I think for me, like, especially like being in Auckland, the big names are like all the rugby players.
Yeah.
Can't even Peter Aki.
Yeah.
He was probably like, it's hard to say because he's like one of the boys, like you grew up with this guy.
Yeah.
You kind of like don't realize how big he is.
Yeah, how big he is. Yeah.
But he was one like big name. Nah. This crack up. I'm just thinking about it. It's like all the names that come to my head now. Danny. So like Danny Tusitala.
Oh my gosh. Bro, I swear to you, bro, every guest we've had, his name has popped up in some way. Danny Tusitala.
Nah, brotherhood. Danny was before. Danny was pretty much after my brother. Like, he was before all those guys. So like, now that I think about it, so it'll be Danny that was like a guy that even to this day, that guy still messages me like, I want to get some more work. I can't wait to get some more work. Like, brotherhood, he's a real one. Like, he's a real one.
Nice, was creativity always part of your family, bro? Like, I know, like yourself, with the artwork, Chris with with his social media stuff, and then obviously brother Jonah with all his mixes online as well. So like,
and
then and also Fred too, like with the his creativity on the tag field, bro. It was Tag's life, So what was
Well,
What was
don't
that
say that. So don't say that he's gonna get hurt. So he's a rugby player playing tag. So that's what he wants to be
sorry.
Shout out to Fred.
Was creativity always within the family, bro?
Yeah, nah, definitely. I think like when I actually like think about it, it was like it started with my mom and dad. You know, like my mom was she was like a dance teacher back in the day. You know, like so she used to take like cultural groups.
Yeah.
And she was like the dance teacher for them. And also my mom does like bulletassis, you know, like so she's a tailor, you know, as well. And in my dad's like the music, you know, he's like the piano player, the sports guy. So yeah, definitely. Like when I think about creativity, like that was like the one thing that we always was just like natural, you know, like that was just like in the genes, you know, genetics.
Mean. And then just being also creative, I should say. Were you guys always competitive on some level as well?
No.
Yeah.
I think that's like a given when you have like siblings, eh? Like so you think about your siblings, and when you think about when you're young, like everything's a competition, you know, like it's like who can. So like I remember we used to have, like, this is the funniest story. We used to have like see who could eat your ice cream the slowest, you know. Like,
I've never heard of that one.
So like, because we were like, you wanted to be the last one eating the ice cream, so then everyone can look at you and be like, I'll get some, like. So man, I remember my sister was the #1 slowest at that. Like, just give me some now. But yeah, going back on competitiveness, it's definitely a big thing in like in our family, and like having like doing like similar things to your siblings, like burns that like that fire even more, you know, like like what I was saying, like playing rugby, you know, it's kind of like, man, he made the team, now I want to make the team, you know. It was like, oh, he got player of the year, now I want to be player of the year, like dad loves him, so I want to like I want to have dad's love more, you know, like so that's a massive thing, like
100. And then like growing up, bro, and obviously going through school and whatnot, and then getting into your kind of first initiative thought of a business. What was some local businesses or like small businesses within the community or out there that you kind of looked up to and be like, "Fuck, man, that's like, you know, that's encouraging me to kind of think that way to be a businessman." Was there any local businesses out there, or like any small business that you kind of looked at back in the day and be like, "Wow, yo, I can do this"?
Nah, like to be honest, I never really like I never looked at like I never looked at what was in front of me, you know, like I always looked at like the big, you know, the big names, you know, the Adidas's, the Nikes, like I looked at like that when I started thinking about business, you know, like it was like, man, if those guys can do that, like, man, surely I can do that, like, if, so, you know, when I feel thankful like saying this, but I never really looked at local businesses as a drive for me to start my business, you know. It was more like the bigger brands, I guess.
That's awesome, because even looking at some of your stuff now, it's just like, damn, can't wait for this guy's collab with Nike or Adidas. Bro, honestly, man,
chuck that in the world.
Have to, bro, have to. Again, once this guy collabs with Nike and stuff, they ask for discounts. Buy the full price. Don't go, Kirby, what's your code?
Ask for discounts because then I'm gonna send you to the Nike team and they're gonna tell you no.
Hard, bro. The next one, one of our favorite questions that we've been asking everyone is in regards to mental health and stuff like that. And I know in the business area too, like with where you're at, there's bound to be a time in your, in your career where you're like, man, shucks, the sales is not going as much as I thought it was. Lockdown's coming back again. Am I going to get enough clients to cover whatever bill that I have to pay? Like, how do you deal with that in the area that you're in? Like with mental health, like, does it play a huge part, or who do you go to? Like, is there people that you go to just to talk and share about that and how to deal with it? What are your thoughts on that?
Man, that's kind of like it's a tough one for me because man, I'm kind of like when I think about myself, I'm kind of like a different, like I have a different way of thinking, like my mental health is like solid, like and I don't mean to like disregard like all the people that are going through it, but good. Like I've always been like real tough, like strong minded, like if things didn't go my way, it was always like, oh okay, like I need to figure out another way, but it was never like it never like hurt me, like even to this day, like when I like say like for example like clothing, like if sales didn't hit, it doesn't hurt me, it just honestly it just makes me think like, oh yeah, like then
what do I need
this
to do?
one, what's the next one then? Like
that's awesome.
So I've always had that kind of mentality, and I'll give you like a little backstory, like about why I was like that. When I was young, like Sefa, Abdul, you probably like hear these stories as well. I was like a real like troubled kid, like I was like Angus, or had like attitude problems, and things are really like back in those days, man, being that kind of a kid is like you're like the outsider, like, and there were heaps of times where like just because I was like Angus, I didn't get to play with my friends, like just because I was like had attitude problems, I missed out on like going out to play at lunchtime or at playtime. So I was always kind of like to myself when I was younger, like because being like that, like you start to realize that like people start to look at you a different way, or like even getting like judged, like when you're young, like people just say like like try and like backstab me or talk about me in certain ways, and like when I fast forward to that now and I translate it into like how I am in business, like bro, that's why I was like that, it was like those things come into like play now, like when I think about people talking about me like in a certain way, it doesn't hurt me in a way, because it takes me back to like my childhood trauma. It's like, man, like if you don't like this tat, or if you don't like this tea that I make, and that's just the same as like when I wasn't allowed to play with you guys when we were young, like and you guys didn't like me when I was young. So to me, it's like everything like happens for a reason, and my whole childhood to me is like what prepped me mentally, and this is going on now, mental health, like that's what prepared me mentally for like business, and it made me like tough, like especially like clothing and tattooing. It's like tough industries if you think about it, like in the early stages, you do a tat and it's like stink, and you can't help it. Like tattooing is not like rugby where like your first game can be your like the best game, like tattooing is like your first tattoo is makwakaya, like surely you do your first tattoo and you look back at it, you'll be like, damn, I can't believe I did that. So like and that also is with clothing. Like, you know, you do your first tee and like no one knows about it. So like when I think about my mental, like that's what like really like strengthened me. It was like, man, like I know people are gonna like dog it, but and like going back to what we were saying, like competitiveness, like that's where that comes into play, you know, like it was like, oh yeah, I know these people are gonna dog it, but man, I'm gonna make them like it, you know, like you wait till I get there. Like that's how I always like thought about things. So I never like it never like kicked me like down. It was always like, nah, so like, you wait till I get there then. Like, and when I like I always say, and when I get there, it's game over. Like, you know, like but that's how I always thought. And yeah, like touching on your mental health thing, it's kind of like a tough subject a tough subject for me to sympathize with, because it's like, man, I empathize with you, but I can't really like understand it, you know, like I can't understand why you can't just like change your mind, you know, like why is that hurting you, or you know, like why are you crying, like and I like brotherhood, I know that it's a real struggle, you know, for some people, but that's that's my thing.
Yeah, that's awesome, bro. Like this is why we love asking that question, because like with everyone that we've kind of had, it's always been different. All the answers have been different. No one has been the same, and that's what we try and aim for, because you know there's bound to be someone out there, like, you know, even watching now, that hears that, you know, what you're sharing, and they're like, man, that's exactly like me too. Like, I don't understand why people you know, tend to cry easily or things like that. So because you're strong-minded, and yeah, that's so awesome. Is it hard to balance like your business life and your social life? Like sometimes you're just like, man, I just want to take some time off and go chill with the boys.
Must be busy, bro.
Like, do you have some way that you can balance that as well? Like, just to be like, okay, I'm gonna leave business like aside for just a couple of days because I need to chill out. Like, how do you do that? How do you balance that?
Nah. So like, to be honest, like I never like switch business off. Like it's like silly, honestly. You know, to be honest, I don't think you can. Like like for people that are like in business, surely you can like say the same. But like, man, you know, as soon as you say you want to switch it off, it's when it like switches on the most, you know, like you try and take a holiday, and the first thing that you do when you sit down on that beach, you look at how nice the beach is, you're gonna like, so like for me, it's looking at it and then I go, oh, I got a mean t-shirt design. Honestly, so like there's never really like a switch off for me, but so it's funny because like you guys might buzz out about this, but so I'm actually like an introvert, you know, like so like as much as I love like laughing, and you guys know, I joke around all the time and I laugh and like I love socializing with the boys. So like, to be honest, I'm like, I love being at home, like and that's why like, so like, even like being in this quarantine, it's like it's
you love it. It's best, man.
I'm like on my laptop. So like, we even went for a walk. Like, we went for a walk and out on the deck. So like, I did one lap and then I was like, yeah, I want to go back inside. I was like, suddenly, like, just give me my laptop and I'm off. So like, I really spend a lot of time like to myself, with myself, you know, like besides like you know, besides doing like getting out and socializing. So I feel like it's not too bad, but like so at the same time, me saying this, and I always think about like, man, maybe I need to make more time for my boys. Maybe I need to make more time for my loved ones, you know, like because I'm so introverted. I always think like you can't be like that, you know, all the time, you know, like and that's like when we think about people with mental health, you know, like I always think like, man, there's probably someone out there that's like, you know, that's one of my boys or, you know, one of my family that I think like, man, they're probably like wanting to catch up or something. And here I am just on my laptop going over the same design I've been going over for like last week, you know, like.
Yeah. That's
awesome, bro.
I think, like that's me, bro, and thanks for sharing that. I think one question would I know definitely a lot of people would want to know is how's the process in the tattooing industry, bro? Like you just mentioned, like going over the same design, like if you've got someone tattooing next week, like do you focus mainly on that for the whole week till you tattoo, or is it just like, yo, what do you want, and then start tattooing? And the other question is, how did the Owing clothing brand come through, bro? Like the name and like what was that drive as well, bro?
Yeah, so the first one, like tattooing, man, it's that's another tough one for me to answer. Like honestly, because I'm like, because tattooing has come so natural, it's like it's kind of hard for me like to focus on it. Like when I think about like my earlier stages of tattooing, like I definitely had to like think about it, you know, because it was like I always just thought like, you know, prepare, like, you know, like be prepared, like but as I got into it, like you find out real quick, and this is like with anything that anyone, like if you love what you do, like it just comes, you know, like it comes so natural. So for the tattooing, like the whole process of me like getting to where I am now, it was kind of like a one-off story, you know, like kind of just like fluked it and took everything as it came, you know, like every tattoo that I did, I just like focused like on that day, you know, like and I never really try to go out of my means. And that's probably like one thing that I'll say from that was like I always did things like I just focused on like, you know, now, like, you know, how they say like, you know, take one day at a time, like that's kind of like how my tattooing like grew, because it was just like I never said, like I never accepted tattoos that I couldn't do, you know. Like I always just like looked at a tattoo, and if someone said if someone asked me if like I could do it, I always like thought about my skill set. I was like, like can I do that now? And then I'll be like, yeah, sweet. But if I looked at it and it was way out of my reach, I was like, ooh, maybe give me a few more tattoos and then I'll come back to you. You know, like I always just took it day by day with tattooing. And then the like your second question was the owing. And like if I think about owing, that's like that's my baby. Like that's like that's where my like real passion is, like. And the whole clothing thing has been me ever since I was young, you know. Like I've always loved clothes. I've always loved like looking good, or you know, being stocks, like you know, like so it's funny, like don't want to be the appearance guy, but man, I was always like, I want to look the best, you know, like so like touching on that, we go back to high school, you know, like the high school was like a real like crucial time for me, because that's when I really started thinking about like after school, you know, like I remember thinking like when I was maybe even before high school, man, I wanted my own brand like ever since, you know. I used to like look at Adidas and I used to be like, man, I want to have my own Adidas, you know, I want to have my own name. And like honestly, I found out about all those like brands and names like when I was young. Like I found out about like Adidas, like probably when I was like an intermediate, and like I found out who the owner was, and like that was his name, you know, like that's Eddie Dazzler, like, and then he just, you know, shortened it to Adidas. So when I saw that, like when I saw that and when I took that in, that's what like always drove me like to thinking about my own brand, you know, like this was straight out of school. I made a my first label was Sorry. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
And I was Sorry Club. That was that came from, so like going back on like clothing, I always wanted something that like meant something to me. Like so like going back to Sorry, like Sorry Club was like that. So that's what I was always saying when I was little, you know, like always being in trouble for me. It was like, man, I'm sorry, like, you know, like I'm pretty much just always saying sorry, you know, like and so that's where like Sorry Club came from. And then I found out that Sorry like clothing was already taken. And I was like, I couldn't have that.
Yeah.
And then like, and this was 2013. Like 2013 was pretty much when I found out that Sorry Club, like, oh, Sorry clothing was taken. So I thought like, man, what's another name, you know, like, and then I was like doing like this whole like, and I was jotting down like all these names of what to name my clothing.
Yeah.
And for some reason I just loved the letter O, you know, like, and I wanted my like brand to be like the name of the brand to be like a O. So I was just, man, I started writing down everything like O.
Yeah.
And I was like, I wrote down owning first, like, owning. But then I was like, man, if you say that, like, it sounds stink, like, you know, like owning. Nah, that ain't it. Like, and then that's where like, as we went down, like owing like came from, and then I was like, owing, man, that's like I've never heard that. And man, when I said that out loud, it was like, owing. That sounds sicky, like And I remember like, so I was like going on Google, like looking up owing, and everything that was coming up was just like meaning, like owing meaning.
Yeah.
And then I like looked at the meaning of it, and it was like to be under moral obligation to like to give or repay.
Yeah.
And then I was like, man,
I see.
Like so then I changed it to like to be under moral obligation to give and repay, you know, like, and then that's where like owing came from. So the backstory of owing is pretty much like, first of all, it's pretty much like owing to God, like, you know, for like the blessings, for the gifts, like pretty much like for life, you know. And then it also comes down to like owing to my parents, owing to my family, owing to the people that believed in me. And that's pretty much like the behind the scenes of the name owing.
That's sick. That's mean, bro, because we always wondered, and like I always wondered too, like where did that name come from. But bro, to hear you explain that, bro, it's I mean, it's just like a little bit makes it more special.
No,
you know, just knowing. So thanks for sharing that, bro. A few more questions, bro, before we wrap it up with some fire.
Let's keep going, man. Let's keep going, man.
It's the best star.
Some quick fire questions. But obviously being a businessman, bro, and owning obviously 2 businesses, you know, with your clothing line and also your tattooing in the tattooing industry. We have a lot of people that are going through some hard times with their business, you know, and like obviously through the pandemic as well. What's your kind of advice to, I guess, those people if they're finding it hard, or they're just sitting on the fence like, I think this is it for us, you know, like what's your kind of advice that you probably think would help those people?
Shucks. Probably
don't fold, eh?
Yeah, that's like the harsh reality. Yeah. Like, hey, that's like a man.
Yeah, you signed yourself up to this, mate. Where's the savings?
Nah.
Where's the savings?
No, probably just like looking into like other things, you know, like owning a business. It doesn't just mean like one thing, you know.
Yeah.
Like owning a business is like the way that I've like looked at business and I've like come to like find is that like business should be like me, like it should be my mind, you know, like so whatever my mind can think of or whatever I like should be I should be able to put that into my business. And that's why you see me like doing everything, like, you know, I do like the whole clothing, I do tattooing, I, you know, do I don't know, whatever else I do,
Barbershop,
cutting hair, barbershop,
yes.
yeah.
Forget about like, that one. It was number one over here, man.
You sing too, Doc. You sing of Remix too, bro.
Whoa.
Politics, anyone? Politics,
bro.
That comes out after 10 p.m. Nah, but going back on what we were saying, it's like it's just looking at other avenues, you know, like looking at other ways to you know make money or to, you know, expand your business, you know. Don't kind of just look at it as like a 2D thing, you know, like always look at it like, man, what else can I do to make my revenue up or to make my business a bit better, like
That's me, bro.
Good on ya.
Yeah.
Stop looking at the 2D, man. 3D, money man.
I'm looking at a 2-dimensional way, yeah.
I think a question that we always ask, you know, our guests that jump on, bro. If you could look back at 18-year-old Kirby Tavita, what would you tell him? Or maybe 16, bro.
So, I'll say stop answering back to all the teachers. Nah, I'll probably like one thing, and this is like one thing that I like would recommend for everyone is to be coachable or to be teachable. Like that was one thing that I struggled with when I was young. You know, it was like I always took things like to heart, or I took things too harsh, you know, like if it was like, you know, Kirby, you need to work on your kick. It was like, my kick's all good. Like it was like that, you know. But I never looked at it like, and maybe he's just trying to like better me, you know, to what do you call, like sharpen my skills, you know, like because so that was one thing that I like really struggled with. And so like when I look back at it now, it's like, yeah, I'll pretty much just tell the Angus kid to freaking
relax,
to relax, but just be teachable and be open-minded. Like,
that's awesome, bro. That's awesome.
Nice, man. Good job, Uzo. We're gonna move on to our quick fire questions, bro. I've got five. We've got 5 quick fire questions for you, bro. First one, the worst, like. Think about it, thinking back at it, the worst tattoo you've ever done.
I just answered this on one of my other boys' interviews. So like, that's my little brother Jonah.
That's sad. No, Jonah.
What'd you do now, Tom?
Jonah.
So go ask Yonga to send you a photo of his arm up here. So, and you'll be like, nah, no way. I see that every day. I see the worst tattoo every day of my life. He even calls me out on it.
He always goes on a singlet.
He always goes, "Hey, Charlie, just be humble."
Shout out to my guy JMT. Go check him out on Instagram as well. Some amazing stuff. JMT. This next one. What's the most awkward, like thinking about your early days in tattooing, what's the most awkward body part you've ever tattooed?
Bro, you know those are Cephas questions, bro.
Gee, I want to think into your mind. What's so much you're like,
Sully, we all know this nigga as well. When was the Sharks and Broncos final? For NRL. So the Sharks and Sharks and
Cowboys, 15. Was it?
What, when the Sharks won?
No, when the
it was Sharks and Broncos.
Sharks and Broncos.
Oh, just for
Sharks and Broncos. I think this was like back in 2016 or 17.
Yeah. Okay.
And what do you call it? Brady Page. Oh, Brady Page and
Brady, yeah.
So they had a bet. They had a bet like whoever loses has to get the winning team on their ass. But you know Rory. That guy's the hairiest motherfucking.
No way.
So you started off with like cutting hair first.
And then it came back into play, So even when I shaved his moolies, it was like this white little spot where the tattoo was going.
Oh man, nah, I've heard it all.
That's probably my most awkward, but it was like funny because it was one of the boys.
Hey, you almost just want to cool you, mess up.
The whole time we just kept recording his movies.
Oh boy, solid.
Nah.
Those Palangi boys back at our school were like the next level Palangi boys.
They didn't care.
They ended up being Islanders after Kelston. Next one. Out of Fred, Christmas, and Jonah, who would help you survive on an island? Out of those three, Jonah was just like, Delhi.
Let's be humble.
Out of those three. I didn't want to put Josh up there because you probably fussy him on the first day.
Josh will probably just look at me again. Some more out of the three.
Yeah, bro. Out of the three. There's some good skill sets there, though.
All right,
you can, you know.
I feel like Chris was to say, hey, 50 burpees every day.
I reckon. To be honest, I don't know. That's a tough one, Tilly.
It's tough because they're all like.
Think about. Yeah, they all have their own thing. Tilly, I reckon if they were to help me out of a boat, like Lecky would coach me. Chris Ganisi will probably tell me that, see, this is why you should have been doing fitness your whole life. Should be prepared for this time.
Yeah.
And then Youngo will probably be mocking me. So he'll probably be going like this, with the hand in him. Nah.
So it's safe to say that you'll just die there peacefully.
Go by yourself, man. Go by yourself.
I'll just let go and let God.
If this is a God, take me now, man.
I need Noah's Ark right there.
Totally. Shout out to the boys. And next one. Who's one famous person that you would love to work on, tattoo? One famous person.
Probably LeBron James.
LeBron James, yo.
Yeah, so he's probably the ultimate example, to me, because it's not just like sports, you know, like it's not just what he does on the court. It's like that's what he does, like, you know, outside of the sport, you know, that's what. Like when I think about him, so like, I just think like, man, I just love to just like not even like talk to him.
Yeah.
I just love to see what he does like during the day, you know, like this guy's family man, he's again mindset man, he's businessman, like
everything.
Guys, pretty much, yes. I'll say LeBron James.
I'll probably be like, Sully, is that the toilet people you use? Yo. Just say one. 3-ply.
3-ply. Nah, Sully. Nah, see, that's how I know you're changed now, Sully. Sully was still using 1-ply.
Oh, man. Hey, boys, I'm up to 3-plies now, man. Surely.
Sweet,
man. The last one, we've asked this one to all our guests. Who are 5 people living or have passed on that you'd love to spend one night with, like just dinner, sit around the table with those 5 people, living or have passed on? We've had some good ones too.
About
man, no, I'm thinking. Probably the first one will probably be LeBron James.
Yeah.
I'd say him. Who's next? Dead. I'm trying to think who's dead. Probably like dead because he like influenced my life like so like massively when I was younger. Probably like Tupac.
Yo.
Like this guy was the reason we were all gang when we were little, you know. Like,
straight up.
Probably Tupac. And I'm just thinking about like American dudes now. Actually,
you didn't want Shama. You didn't want
after.
Sack off that guy. I'll tell you, probably another one will probably be and he just passed. Rest in love. Virgil Abloh.
Oh yes.
He was the Louis Vuitton and Off-White guy.
Dang. Yeah.
Yeezy.
Yo.
Kanye West. He's probably like. Yeah, he's probably one massive influence in my clothing.
Yeah.
How many is that?
That's 4.
3.
Yeah.
That's 3 and one more.
5. I'll go Tyler the Creator.
Tyler the Creator.
Bro, that's a
creative table, bro.
Yeah, those are like when I think about like business, those are like the guys that I think about. Like that kind of mindset.
Dang. Man, ladies and gentlemen, the man himself, Kirby Tavita. We thank you for your time, bro. Just a big thank you, bro. It's an honor to have you on, bro. Like we love following the stuff that you're doing. We do appreciate you coming on. Go follow him on Instagram as well, guys. Kirby Tavita Tattoos. Kirby Cat. At Kirby Tavita Tattoos and at OWING Collective. It's based out in Edmonton Road, Henderson, Auckland, New Zealand. Go visit his website, www.owingcollective.com. Also check out Donut Mess located in Henderson. Shout out to our sponsor, Mali Mali Construction Limited, ladies and gentlemen. Kirby Tavita, the man himself. Sayless podcast is also Sefas your toko atu. Let's go, say less.
Say less.
Say less, yeah.
Let's go.
We be over there, cause we in 5th gear. We move up the forecast, their positions unclear. We can't hear nothing, they all disappear.